Chapter 13. Romance disaster. I'm poison for guys and gals. You want to hang out? Like chewing gum is a crime. Lavinia tossed a piece of her sandwich off the roof, where it was immediately snatched up by a seagull. For our picnic lunch, she had brought me, Hazel, and Meg to her favorite thinking place, the rooftop of New Rome University's bell tower, which Lavinia had discovered access to on her own. People were not exactly encouraged to be up here, but it was not strictly forbidden either, which seemed to be the space Lavinia most liked inhabiting. She explained that she enjoyed sitting here because it was directly above the Garden of Faunus, Rena's favorite thinking spot. Rena was not in the garden at present, but whenever she was, Lavinia could look down at the prater, 100 feet below, and gloat, "Ha, my thinking spot is higher than your thinking spot." Now, as I sat on the precariously slanted red clay tiles, a half-eaten focaccia in my lap, I could see the entire city and valley spread out below us, everything we stood to lose in the coming invasion. Beyond stretched the flatlands of Oakland and the San Francisco Bay, which in just a few days would be dotted with Caligula's luxury battle yachts. Honestly, Lavinia threw another piece of her grilled cheese to the seagulls, if the Legionnaires went for a stupid hike once in a while, they'd know about Wildcat Drive. I nodded, though I suspected that most Legionnaires, who spent a good deal of their time marching in heavy armor, probably wouldn't consider hiking much fun. Lavinia, however, seemed to know every back road, trail, and secret tunnel within 20 miles of Camp Jupiter. I suppose because you never knew when you needed to sneak out for a date with some pretty hemlock or deadly nightshade. On my other side, Hazel ignored her veggie wrap and grumbled to herself. Can't believe Frank. Trying to volunteer. Bad enough after his crazy stunts in the battle. Nearby, having already plowed through her lunch, Meg aided her digestion by doing cartwheels. Every time she landed, catching her balance on the loose tiles, my heart free-climbed a little farther at my throat. Meg, could you please not do that? I asked. It's fun. She fixed her eyes on the horizon and announced, I want a unicorn. Then she cartwheeled again. Lavinia muttered to no one in particular. You popped a bubble. It would be perfect for this quest. Why do I have to like a guy with a death wish? Hazel mused. Meg, I pleaded. You're going to fall. Even a small unicorn, Meg said. Not fair they have so many here, and I don't have any. We continued this four-part disharmony until a giant eagle swooped out of the sky, snatched the rest of the grilled cheese from Lavinia's hand, and soared away, leaving behind a flock of irritated seagulls. Typical. Lavinia wiped her fingers on her panties. Can't even have a sandwich. I shoved the rest of the focaccia in my mouth, just in case the eagle came back for seconds. Well, Hazel sighed. At least we got the afternoon off to make plans. She gave half of her veggie wrap to Lavinia. Lavinia blinked, apparently unsure how to respond to the kind gesture. Thanks. But I mean, what is there to plan? We go to the carousel, find the tomb, try not to die. I swallowed the last of my food, hoping it might push my heart back down to its proper location. Perhaps we could concentrate on the not dying part. For instance, why wait until tonight? Wouldn't it be safer to go when it's daylight? It's always dark underground, Hazel said. Besides, during the daytime, lots of kids will be at the carousel. I don't want any of them getting hurt. At night, the place will be deserted. Meg plopped down next to us. Her hair now looked like a distressed elderberry shrub. So, Hazel, can you do other cool underground stuff? Some people were saying you can summon diamonds and rubies. Hazel frowned. Some people? Like Lavinia, Meg said. Oh my gods, Lavinia said. Thanks a lot, Meg. Hazel peered into the sky, as if wishing a giant eagle would come snatch her away. I can summon precious metals, yes. Riches of the earth, that's a Pluto thing. But you can't spend the stuff I summon, Meg. I leaned back against the roof tiles. Because it's cursed? I seem to recall something about a curse, and not because Lavinia told me anything. I added hastily. Hazel picked at her veggie wrap. It's not so much a curse anymore. In the old days, I couldn't control it. Diamonds, gold coins, stuff like that would just pop up from the ground whenever I got nervous. Cool? Meg said. No, it really wasn't cool, Hazel assured her. If somebody picked up the treasures and tried to spend them, horrible things would happen. Oh, Meg said. What about now? Since I met Frank, Hazel hesitated. A long time ago, Pluto told me that a descendant of Poseidon would wash away my curse. It's complicated, but Frank is a descendant of Poseidon on his mom's side. Once we started dating, he's just a good person, you know? I'm not saying I needed a fella to solve my problems. A fella? Meg asked. Hazel's right eye twitched. Sorry. I grew up in the 1930s. Sometimes my vocab slips. I'm not saying I needed a guy to solve my problems. It's just Frank had his own curse to deal with. So he understood me. We helped each other through some dark times, talking together, learning to be happy again. He makes me feel loved, I suggested. Lavinia met my eyes and mouthed, adorable. Hazel tucked her feet underneath her. I don't know why I'm telling you all this, but yes, now I can control my powers a lot better. Jewels don't pop up randomly when I get upset. Still, they're not meant to be spent. I have this gut feeling that Pluto wouldn't like that. I don't want to find out what would happen if somebody tried. Meg pouted. So you can't give me, even a small diamond? Just to keep for fun? Meg, I chided. Or a ruby? Meg! Whatever. Meg frowned at her unicorn shirt, no doubt thinking how cool it would look decorated with several $1 million worth of precious stones. I just want to fight stuff. You'll probably get your wish, Hazel said. But remember, tonight the idea is to explore and gather intel. We'll need to be stealthy. Yes, Meg, I said, because if you'll recall, Apollo faces death in Tarkin's tomb. If I must face death, I would rather do so while hiding in the shadows, and then sneak away from it without even knowing I was there. Meg looked exasperated, as if I'd suggested an unfair rule in freeze tag. Okay, I guess I can stealth. Good, Hazel said. And Lavinia, no chewing gum. Well, give me some credit, I have some very sneaky moves. She wriggled her feet. Daughter of Terpsichore and all that. Hazel said. Okay then. Everybody gather your supplies and get some rest. We'll meet on the field of Mars at sundown. Resting should have been an easy assignment. Meg went off to explore the camp, read See the Unicorns again, which left me by myself in the cafe's upstairs room. I lay in my cot enjoying the quiet, staring at Meg's newly planted irises, which were now in full bloom in the window box. Still, I couldn't sleep. My stomach wound throbbed. My head buzzed. I thought of Hazel Levesque and how she'd credited Frank with washing away her curse. Everyone deserves someone who could wash away their curses by making them feel loved, but that was not my fate. Even my greatest romances had caused more curses than they lifted. Daphne, Hyacinthus, and later, yes, the Cumaean Sibyl. I remember the day that we had sat together on a beach, the Mediterranean stretching out before us like a sheet of blue glass. Behind us on the hillside where the Sibyl had her cave, olive trees baked and cicadas droned in the summer heat of southern Italy. In the distance, Mount Vesuvius rose, hazy and purple. Conjuring an image of the Sibyl herself was more difficult. Not the hunched and grizzled old woman from Tarkin's throne room, but the beautiful young woman she'd been on that beach, centuries before, when Cumae was still a Greek colony. I'd loved everything about her. The way her hair caught the sunlight, the mischievous gleam in her eyes, the easy way she smiled. She didn't seem to care that I was a god, despite having given up everything to be my oracle. Her family, her fortune, even her name. Once pledged to me, she was known simply as the Sibyl, the voice of Apollo. But that wasn't enough for me. I was smitten. I convinced myself it was love, the one true romance that would wash away all my past missteps. I wanted the Sibyl to be my partner throughout eternity. As the afternoon went on, I coaxed and pleaded. You could be so much more than my priestess, I urged her. Marry me. She laughed. You can't be serious. I am. Ask for anything in return and it's yours. She twisted a strand of her auburn locks. All I've ever wanted is to be the Sibyl, to guide the people of this land to a better future. You've already given me that, so haha, the joke's on you. But you've only got one lifetime, I said. If you were immortal, you could guide humans to a better future forever. At my side. She looked at me askance. Apollo, please. You'd be tired of me by the end of the week. Never. So, you're saying... She scooped up 2 heaping handfuls of sand. If I wished for as many years of life as there are grains of this sand, you would grant me that. It's done, I pronounced. Instantly, I felt a portion of my own power flowing into her life force. And now, my love... Whoa! Whoa! She scattered the sand, clambering to her feet and backing away as if I were suddenly radioactive. That was a hypothetical, lover boy. I didn't agree. What is done is done. I rose. A wish cannot be taken back. Now you must honor your side of the bargain. Her eyes danced with panic. I can't. I won't. I laughed, thinking she was merely nervous. I spread my arms. Don't be afraid. Of course I'm afraid. She backed away farther. Nothing good ever happens to your lovers. I just want to be your Sibyl. Now you've made things weird. My smile crumbled. I felt my ardor cooling, turning stormy. Don't anger me, Sibyl. I'm offering you the universe. I've given you near immortal life. You cannot refuse payment. Payment? She balled her hands in a fist. You dare think of me as a transaction? I frowned. This afternoon really wasn't going the way I'd planned. I didn't mean... Obviously, I wasn't... Well, Lord Apollo, she growled. If this is a transaction, then I defer payment until your side of the bargain is complete. You said it yourself, near immortal life. I'll live until the grains of sand run out, yes? Come back to me at the end of that time. Then if you still want me, I'm yours. I dropped my arms. Suddenly all the things I'd loved about the Sibyl became things I hated. Her headstrong attitude, her lack of awe, her infuriating, unattainable beauty. Especially her beauty. Very well. My voice turned colder than any sun gods should ever be. You want to argue over the fine print of our contract? I promised you life, not youth. You can have your centuries of existence. You remain my Sibyl. I cannot take those things away once given. But you'll grow old. You'll wither. You'll not be able to die. I'd prefer that. Her words were defiant, but her voice trembled with fear. Fine, I snapped. Fine, she yelled back. I vanished in a column of flame, having succeeded in making things very weird indeed. Over the centuries, the Sibyl had withered, just as I'd threatened. Her physical form lasted longer than any ordinary mortal's, but the pain I'd caused her, the lingering agony, even if I'd had regrets about my hasty curse, I couldn't have taken it back any more than she could take back her wish. Finally, around the end of the Roman Empire, I'd heard rumors that the Sibyl's body had crumbled away entirely, yet still she could not die. Her attendants kept her life force, the faintest whisper of her voice in a glass jar. I assumed that the jar had been lost sometime after that the Sibyl's grains of sand had finally run out. What if I was wrong? If she were still alive, I doubted she was using her faint whisper of a voice to be pro-Apollo. I deserved your hatred. I saw that now. Oh, Jason Grace. I promised you I'd remember what it was to be human. But why did human shame have to hurt so much? Why wasn't there an off button? And thinking of the Sibyl, I couldn't help considering that other women had a curse, especially Reina Avila Ramirez Arellano. I'd been completely blindsided the day I strolled into the Olympian throne room, fashionably late for our meeting as usual, and found Venus studying the luminous image of a young lady floating above her palm. The goddess's expression had been weary and troubled, something I didn't often see. Who's that? I asked foolishly. She's beautiful. That's all the trigger Venus needed to unleash her fury. She told me Reina's fate. No demigod would ever be able to heal her heart. But that did not mean I was the answer to Reina's problem. Quite the contrary. In front of the entire assembly of gods, Venus announced that I was unworthy. I was a disaster. I had ruined every relationship I was in, and I should keep my godly face away from Reina. Or Venus would curse me with even worse romantic luck than I already had. The mocking laughter of all the other gods still rang in my ears. If not for the encounter, I might never have known Reina, or even that she existed. I certainly had no designs on her. But we always want what we can't have. Once Venus declared Reina off limits, I became fascinated with her. Why had Venus been so emphatic? What did Reina's fate mean? Now I thought I understood. As Lester Papadopoulos, I no longer had a godly face. I was neither mortal nor god, nor demigod. Had Venus somehow known this would happen someday? Had she shown me Reina and warned me off, knowing full well that that would make me obsessed? Venus was a wily goddess. She played games within games. If it was my fate to be Reina's true love, to wash away her curse as Frank had done for Hazel, then would Venus allow it? But at the same time, I was a romantic disaster. I'd ruined every one of my relationships, brought nothing but destruction and misery to the young men and women I'd loved. How could I believe I'd be any good for the praetor? I lay in my cot, these thoughts finally tossing around in my mind, until the late afternoon. Then I gave up on the idea of rest. I gathered my supplies, my quiver and bow, my ukulele and my backpack, and I headed out. I needed guidance, and I could think of only one way to get it.